Did the so-called memo live up to expectations? Let's remind people of what people like Molly Hemingway of the Federalist said before the memo came out, which she thought it would contain, and it appears to contain everything that she said it would.
There's so much that is of interest here, and I think we've been subjected to this narrative for a year and a half that there is credible evidence of collusion between the Donald Trump campaign and Russia, and that this explains any manner of things, from why there was a dossier created or what was in the dossier that was leaked and put out on BuzzFeed. That we've had this Russia stories going on for a year. But people have started to notice that there's been nothing substantial from that dossier that's been in any way substantiated. I mean, there are things in there that are public, like Carter Page went to Moscow. Yes, he did. He went to the same place Barack Obama went a couple years earlier and gave a speech at the same place in the same event, and that's not groundbreaking news that we needed a dossier to figure out about. So as people started wondering what was going on here, I think we're seeing sort of an alternative idea about misbehavior by the FBI and other parts of our intelligence establishment. Maybe they had good intentions, maybe they didn't. But there was a sort of long effort to do improper things, I think, with the Donald Trump campaign. And playing around with a dossier that was funded by the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign, literally, is not what you want to see your FBI doing. Now, it'd be one thing if it were credible or if it were reasonable or if it turned out to be true or if there was, if there was something there. But we know that the intelligence officials were briefing Congress about it during a campaign because Harry Reid blabbed about it. That's inappropriate. We know that it might have been used to secure a wiretap on a Trump campaign affiliate. That's a scandal of just epic proportions.
And that is pretty much what this 4-page memo says, that the dossier was vital in order to get the warrant to surveil Carter Page. They also refer to the testimony of a deputy director who said, but for the dossier, they would not have been able to successfully get that warrant.
And then there was this whole other sort of post-election operation, which was a whisper campaign to delegitimize the president and spread this, get this idea that there was a legitimate concern about Russia. And that goes to the very highest levels. We know that James Comey briefed Donald Trump on the dossier, which he had no business doing because as he himself would say, it's not a credible document. That was almost immediately leaked to CNN. That's interesting. Very few people knew about that. Perhaps the purpose of briefing the dossier was so that it would be leaked and be thought of as a credible thing. So there were all these different phases of the operation with different levels of problems. I think there are good people in the FBI who reasonably handled this information. There are also people who didn't do a good job handling this, and that's something that would be great if more people were interested in. I get that people don't like Donald Trump or they think he's a shady character, but the United States government needs to be operating in a manner that citizens can trust it, and this is why it's such an important issue for responsible journalists and lawmakers to dig into. As part of this, I think people started to see that there were these other issues that were more disconcerting about a campaign, a narrative campaign. Literally, again, the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee kind of seeded this entire investigation, and it's something that some lawmakers really had to fight upstream to dig into, but they've done good work, and they have had such serious resistance from the higher levels of the FBI and other intelligence agencies who did not want to share any information with the committees that oversee them. We have a system of government that is divided for a reason and for accountability and oversight, and the FBI and Department of Justice and various other people have really fought that transparency. But enough has been learned that we have the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence has compiled a report on what we hear is disconcerting practices by some of these intelligence agencies, and that should soon be released for public consumption. Many of the lawmakers who see it say it's so serious that people need to be able to review it so that action can be taken.
That is Molly Hemingway with the Federalist talking about this memo. This is a couple days ago, and what she expected it to be. To contain exactly what she says. It says that in the case of Carter Page, the government had several chances to inform the courts of the nature of this dossier and who paid for it and didn't do it. Quote, the dossier was compiled by Christopher Steele on behalf of the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary campaign formed an essential part of the Carter-Page FISA application. Steele was a longtime FBI source who was paid over $160K by the DNC and the Clinton campaign via the law firm. Neither application nor any of the renewals disclose or refer to the role of the DNC Clinton campaign. The initial FISA application notes Steele was working for a named U.S. person but does not name Fusion GPS or the principal. Carter-Page application was also cited extensively in a September 23, 2016 Yahoo News article, which focuses on Page's trip. The article does not corroborate the Steele dossier because it was derived from information leaked to Steele himself to Yahoo News. So it says the Page FISA application incorrectly assesses that Steele did not provide information to Yahoo News when in fact Steele has admitted that he met with Yahoo News and gave them the information. It says Steele was suspended and then terminated as an FBI source, but that relationship between Steele and Fusion GPS and the Democrats was, quote, improperly concealed from and lied to the FBI about in those contacts. And then it goes on and talks about the Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, a senior DOJ official, and that Orr had expressed to Steele that he was, quote, desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president, close quote. This clear evidence of Steele's bias was not recorded by Orr at the time, and was not reflected in any of the Page FISA applications. Excuse me, it was Steele who said he was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected, and Orr, the senior DOJ official, to whom Steele told this, did not inform the FISA court of Steele's bias against President Trump. Quote, during this same time period, Orr's wife was employed by Fusion GPS to assist in the cultivation of opposition research on Trump. Orr later provided the FBI with all of his wife's opposition research paid for by the DNC and the Clinton campaign. Orr's relationship with Steele and Fusion GPS was inexplicably concealed from the FISA court. End of quote. So these are very, very damaging pieces of information. And if it is true that the deputy director testified that about the importance of this Steele dossier, and the dossier has been now thoroughly discredited, it seems to me that the whole basis for the Trump investigation has now collapsed. And so as far as I'm concerned, if the mission on the part of the Republicans was to put this information out, to throw some shade on the Trump investigation, mission has been accomplished. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. The term chain migration is racist, and the term chained ED, according to Senator from Gillibrand from New York, is also racist.
I think a lot of President Trump's rhetoric is racist. When someone uses the phrase chained migration, it is intentional in trying to demonize families, literally trying to demonize families and make it a racist slur. It is not right.
Unchained Wall Street.
Look what they're doing with family unification, making up a fake name, chain. They like the word chain. That sends tremors through people.
Nancy Pelosi doubled down on calling the benefits to the tax court by the tax bills crumbs.
When I came into this beautiful building just a little while ago, one of the people said, I just got a check and I have $221 more than I had last year at this time in my envelope. And that's what we were waiting. We were waiting for February. And then we got hit with these corporations giving tremendous bonuses to everybody that Nancy Pelosi called crumbs. That was that could be like deplorable. Does that make sense? Deplorable and crumbs? Those two words, they seem to have a resemblance.
I wouldn't go anywhere in confined places now.